welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. So if you guys are ready for another story time, stay tuned and keep watching.
Okay guys, so the story time I'm going to tell you guys today is the time that my daughter and I were almost kidnapped. So back right after I had my daughter, about 6 months after I had her, I still had a few pounds to lose, and so I wanted to start going walking and just adding that into my exercise routine. So after work I would go every day and just go for an hour-long walk. Now, the neighborhood that I lived in, I always felt super safe. There was like a school right by where we lived, so sometimes there'd be cops over there, you know, just like watching the school, watching over it and stuff. And so I would go walking right by the school, and I'd make like a whole circle around the whole neighborhood. Well, at this particular time, the school that I lived by, they were not on a break, but the school I worked at, I was a teacher's assistant back then, they were on a break. And so I was off of work for like a week, and I was like, you know what, this week I want to do my walks earlier, because normally I would go around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I felt like, oh, well, you know, let's just get it done early so I don't have to be working out all night, because I would do a couple hours every day of working out. So I started my walk like normal, my normal routine. I always did the same routine every day. And I would walk right, by the school. So the school's on this side, and then I would just take this road straight down, and there would be like blocks going like that across, this pathway of houses. So I started going down like normal. There was construction workers out there working on the road, and they said hi, we're friendly and everything. Now, once I hit this street, there was a street called Durango, and it would go straight down, and you'd get to the other side of the neighborhood. Well, I was about to turn right there. I always turned there. Now, Durango is kind of like it's an in-between street. So like on each side of that street, there would be like one backside of the houses right there, and then the other side had the backside of those houses. So basically that road was like lined with just brick wall, because it was people's backyards on both sides. So I was going down Durango and was about to turn into one of those neighborhood openings, but I had like this weird like feeling, guys, like intuition or something, like not to turn yet. I just felt like nervous. Well, here pulls out this van, and I'm like, okay. And I kind of like step back, kind of walk back a little bit, and he stops and he pulls right up next to me. So his door is like right by me, and so he stops and he's like, hey, do you need a ride? And I'm like, no. And he's like probably a 35-year-old Hispanic guy with a mustache, and he looks at me and he's like, do you want a ride? And I'm like, no, I don't need a ride, thank you. And then he goes, no, come on, I'll give you a ride. And I'm like, no, really, I don't need a ride. And then he's like, he just stares at me for a minute. I'm starting to walk slowly away. I'm trying to make myself not look scared, because I'm feeling really anxious at this point. And then he tells me, hey, and I turn and look at him, and he's like, get in the van. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, like my heart just sank at that point. I'm scared. There's nobody around. I'm all alone out here with my daughter. And I'm like, I gotta protect her, I can't let him do anything to us. And so I'm like, I look at him and I book it. And at this point, guys, I could hear him behind me like screaming, get in my van, get in my van. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was so terrified. I can still remember the way the van looks to this day. I can still remember his face to this day. I finally turn into the neighborhood. Now, there are like openings all around to get into the neighborhood. Going around this whole circle, there's openings. and he goes around back to by, you know, where the school is at, and I'm going through the neighborhood. At this point, I'm still running, guys. And for some reason, I don't call the police, but I call my sister, and I'm like, I tell her, she has a boyfriend, and she's like, I go, can you please come pick me up? Please come pick me up. I'm scared, you know, there's a guy out here, and I don't know if he's trying to look for us. Well, here he comes back around, and I'm seeing him coming, you know, in his van, and he sees me on the phone, and I'm like praying to God, like, please let him leave me alone. Guys, he turned back out onto a different street. He left. I'm like, thank God. My heart started to feel a little bit better. I started to feel less anxious, and I was like, thank God this man left. So my sister pulls up. She comes and picks me up. We call the cops. You know, on the way home, I'm calling the cops, letting them know what happened. Even the operator's telling me, honey, whenever something like that happens, always call the cops first, because whoever's, you know, right there, they're going to send that police officer, whoever's closest to you, they're going to send that police officer to where you're at so that, you know, they can get there fast. So the cops come, they talk to me, I give them the description of the van, I give them the description of the man and everything, and they told me that they'd let me know if they find him, because they were going to go searching for him. Guys, they never found him, but a couple weeks later, there was something going on the news talking about how there was a man in a van who was attempting to lure and take young girls from the high school. There was a high school that was right by where I live too. He'd been going around trying to take young girls. Guys, all I can say now from that experience, I feel like it traumatized me, and I feel like I learned a lot from that whole experience. It was probably one of the most terrifying things that ever happened to me. When I think about it now, like, I'm always so grateful to God that nothing happened to me and my daughter, because, oh my goodness, guys, if somebody ever tried to take my kid, I mean, it's scary enough for me, but like, to try and take my child, I would have just absolutely lost it. Like, things, you know, be careful when you go for walks, be careful when you're out and about doing things. I mean, anything can happen at any point in time, you know. And so from, like, now I take pepper spray with me. My husband will come with me occasionally. I try to go during the times of the day when I feel like there's more people out. So yeah, just be careful, guys. You never know what could happen, and you never know who's out there watching, you know. And that's another thing. I try to change up my routine every now and then. Like, I don't like taking the same routes anymore, because they'll learn your route. You know, if they want to take you, they'll learn your route. They'll watch you, and they'll keep an eye on you to see, you know, where you're going to be at what specific time, because it'll be easier for them, you know. So just be careful, guys. Be aware. And if anything has ever happened to you like this, comment it down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.